Hey guys, what's up? It's Arooj Detective here, investigating your favorite apartments. Ah! And today I'm going to be doing an album review on the new Arooj Aftab album, Night Rain. So Arooj Aftab is a Pakistani singer-songwriter, and about 3 years ago she released the album Vulture Prince, which I reviewed on my channel before anyone else did on YouTube, I believe. I don't know, but I'd like to think I am. And when Vulture Prince was released, I was actually really impressed because I've never heard music that so smoothly and creatively blends Hindustani traditional music and jazz and folk, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it's not a perfect album, but it definitely has a lot of potential and got me excited for whatever Arooj Aftab has to release up next, which leads to her newest release, Night Rain. And this time around, she pretty much goes on to the same trajectory by blending Hindustani or Pakistani traditional music with jazz and folk, but this time around she manages to blend these genres even more smoothly onto pretty much every single track. There's also a focus on nighttime. As expected from the album title, Night Rains, this album is more nocturnal, it's about the nighttime, so the music on this album are consistently moody and maybe a little foreboding and atmospheric, so there is a stronger sense of consistency to this album. So the album opener, I don't speak Urdu, I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher all of these song titles. The album opener, A Nehin, is a pretty slow but interesting and in fact beautiful album opener with its runny guitars that are moody and intricate. Also, one amazing addition on this album is harps. There are a lot of harps on this album that add to the cleanliness and the beauty of the music here. So the harps on this track are fantastic, paired with the low-pitched crooning vocals from Arooj Aftab. This track serves as an amazing tone setter and serves as a great example of the folky side of the album, which will then change to the jazzy side a little bit later on. Anyways, the second track we have Nagul, which is a nocturnal piano ballad with scarce and clean bits of piano. It is a little bit meandering, it is a little bit of a slow burn for the second track, but I do think that what this track achieves essentially is atmosphere. It's an atmospheric track and it sets the tone for the rest of the album. Next up, we have the track Autumn Leaves, where we see Arooj Aftab switch things up, where she covers the classic 1940s vintage jazz song Autumn Leaves. And instead of going for, your classic Western jazz, she imbues this track with a certain Hindustani flavor that makes it ever so interesting and refreshing. We also got these very constant, echoey, rustic percussion. That sounds like I'm hitting the walls in some kind of metal can, and it sort of like goes and it keeps on going. We also have these bass, which are really slick, and a nonchalant keyboard solo at the end to cap things off. Following that, we have Bologna, which I think is a highlight on the album for sure. This track is extra slow paced, but there's something very menacing and grim about this track, because this track features none other than Moor Mother for spoken word, where she gives these foreboding spoken word passages about love and delusion and mistrust and consumerism and the modern society. She feels as though love is above us and not here where we are on Earth right now. And we also have Joel Ross on the vibraphone. I don't really know who he is, but this track introduced me to him, so shout out to Joel Ross. Very good track, definitely one of the most interesting and musically intriguing moments on the album. Then we have Saki, which features pianist Vijay Iyer, and it is a beautiful, soul-cleansing piano ballad. But being the longest track on the album at almost 7 minutes long, this track does come off a little bit meandering and even redundant at some points. But interestingly enough, the next track is Last Night Reprise, which is a reprise of the track Last Night, which is, hilariously enough, my least favorite track from her last album, Vulture Prince. But this time around, she gives this track a much more interesting rendition where we have bits of flutes, guitars, harps, bass clashing against each other in a sneaky and messy way, like I just accidentally entered some kind of musical forest or something. Sonically and texture wise, it is incredibly interesting and definitely a very much needed update from the original track. Then we have Rat Ki Rani, which leans harder on the Hindustani folk elements. We have some emotional ascending harp arpeggios, which I thought are beautiful, on top of some rhythmic tablas. This is honestly one of the most gorgeous moments on the entire album. Second to last track is called Whiskey, and this is a pretty straightforward red wine flavored ballad with lyrical allusions to nighttime, and also vocally Arooj Aftab channels her inner Sade on this track. Then, unfortunately, the album ending didn't really blow my mind or anything. The album ending, titled Zamin, is not necessarily all that interesting or anything. We have some simple pianos and strings that makes me feel like I'm in some melodramatic movie. Also, apparently, the style of the track is ECL style or ECM style jazz, which is an era of jazz music produced by ECM Records from the early to late 70s, which usually feature slow, meandering, but beautiful pianos. Just a little interesting fun fact. I googled it, I looked it up on Radio Music, but still not that interesting of an album ending. But overall, it is still a really solid album, and I do like this album a little bit more than Vulture Prince, and I'm looking forward, once again, to whatever Arooj Aftab has to release up next. I'm giving the new Arooj Aftab album Night Rain a light 8 out of 10. So have you listened to the new Arooj Aftab album? Comments below. Let me know. Subscribe if you want more. Thanks for watching. Charlie XCX review coming soon. Do not worry, mi gente. Do not.